Hello, beloveds. Welcome to the Amanda Collins podcast. It's my honor to help you awaken to joy, be your greatest self, and live a life you love. I'm Amanda Collins. Each week, I'll share tips, practices, and rituals to help you feel the storehouse of joy inside. I'll answer your questions and talk with thought leaders from around the world about health, wealth, love, conscious living, and parenting. Are you ready to live your most fulfilled life? Welcome to episode 60. I had such a fun conversation with Nixie, speaking about how we can just live more consciously in our homes through the cleaning products that we use, how we can eliminate more plastic, shop local, even grow our own veggies. Join us to find about some simple things that you can do to make some powerful changes for the earth and humanity. Thank you to Susan for this week's review. I absolutely love your podcast and work. You've helped me through difficult times, and your light is making this world a much better place. Keep inspiring us. Oh, thank you so much for your beautiful words. Nixie Marie is the CEO and founder of Nixie Dust Cleaning, a conscious green cleaning company that focuses on creating a holistic experience for its clientele. Nixie's passions lie in creating sustainable solutions and using green technology, also known as Mother Earth, in her business pursuits. With an understanding of energy, feng shui, and space clearing, she is your go-to guide in making your life and home a living sanctuary. She's also the host of I Am Goddess Collective podcast, created for those who are on a path to transform their life with magic, astrology, and the sacred feminine. I am so delighted to have Nixie here with us today. Welcome.
Hello, Amanda. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you for being here. And I'm really excited about our topic today because it's very dear to my heart, and I'm so grateful because we did an interview on your amazing podcast, I Am Goddess Collective podcast, and that was amazing. And then since then, you've been studying feng shui, and but I'd love to dive in first of all to you're the founder of Nixie Dust Cleaning, a conscious green cleaning company, and I would love to know what got you into that first of all.
That's such a lovely question. It really fell into my lap with a very, so unexpectedly. I actually have a background in fashion design, and I was going to art school and then left art school and didn't actually finish. I had three more classes left, and came to LA to pursue my career in fashion. And I quickly learned that in the fashion industry here, it was really intense. And I was in that for from 18 until, 23, 24. And I was also going through my awakening during that time, right in 2012. I started to really resonate with sacred geometry, and I started designing for a company that was called Align Movement, and it was a conscious lifestyle brand. So there was a big shift happening inside of me, and through that I just started getting these really strong hits that the fashion industry wasn't really in alignment with who I am and what my ethics were and what I believed in, especially with sustainability. And that was a really big shock for me, because I was also really more of an avant-garde designer and very creative, very much more costume design. So with fast fashion, it really kind of destroyed that type of industry and the opportunity, I think, for new up and coming designers to really find their place in the fashion world. And I just saw that being a very long journey that I wasn't willing to climb the ladder for. So I started my own line actually called Goddess Jumper, and that's actually how I Am Goddess Collective evolved into a podcast. I had a business partner, and it went really well for the first couple years. And then I had no idea what I was doing in business. So I did all the things wrong. And we eventually, my business partner and I, we parted ways. And so through that time, it gave me an opportunity to sort of just start over and have a blank canvas. And I was also going through a very hard relationship and trying to find myself. And so there was an app called TaskRabbit that's here in the States. I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with it, but it's like an app for, doing chores, helping people out. And so I just decided, I'm going to join this app and start working just to make some extra money so I can support myself and ultimately move out of the situation that I was in. So I started working, and the thing that I found the most joy in was actually cleaning homes and actually taking care of people's spaces. And I started recognizing everything as energy and seeing how I could shift the energy of a space and how it would feel different every time I leave a corner or something of that. So, and I was also making some pretty good money doing that. So my rate really went up, and it just inspired me to kind of dive deeper in that. But I did struggle a lot with it because it wasn't something that I thought it would actually turn into a business. I was actually kicked off the TaskRabbit platform. So there was spirit again pushing me out.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Amazing how that happened.
Yeah, I was just telling me, you can do this on your own, or maybe this isn't your path. And it was really hard to read the signs because right around that time too, I started the podcast. So I had transitioned because I no longer had a financial backer, for a business. I started the podcast with just what I had, and it was an easier thing for me to start without a lot of capital. And so I was starting that. And I think that was like really helping me stay on track to listening to my guides. And I was also just learning from other experts in spirituality. And so the more that I listened and the more that I surrendered, I got these signs that I should, pursue this idea, this vision that I had of creating a green conscious cleaning business where we understand energy. We incorporate elements of like clearing, of space clearing, of some feng shui. I only knew the basics of feng shui, like intuitively.
That's so amazing. That's like a beautiful, just following guidance and, following what's really true. And it's amazing that you come in, you already knew energetically, just by moving things around and just cleaning a space and doing it with the intention is so beautiful. And then it sounds like it's just evolved now with, so tell us a little bit about, because, we know about all the chemicals that are in these cleaning products. So do you now make your own when you go to people's homes, and what do you use in them?
Yeah, great question. Excuse me. I actually started making products from day one. I've been working with essential oils for, over a decade now. And I started working with vinegar and making vinegar solutions. But what I learned was the vinegar didn't resonate with everyone, and it would sometimes create like a stinky feet smell. So
yeah, nobody wants that.
Yeah, so it didn't quite work. And then we started getting into doing Airbnbs, and so the smell, I just thought, I should try something new and see what else there is. And so I sort of just started looking at other products out there and what kind of ingredients they were using, and trying to find something that was homemade, but, not filled with preservatives or this word is super, super big. I'm not even going to try to say it, but, the sulfates and parabens and everything that everyone really doesn't want in their products anymore. And well, everyone, but those who are more conscious of that. And I think we're all really waking up to these realities. Absolutely. And so I actually have a formula now that I've tested in our business for the last year on every surface, on every home we do deep cleaning with. And so far it's been just an overwhelming response, and people, some of our clients actually have purchased it, and so I never really thought it was going to be something where we were going to provide this as a product line. I want to keep it sacred. I think there's a lot to be said for, selling out. We've talked to a couple branding strategists, and they want to easily investors could come in and take this over. And and really put those chemicals back in it, because it happens. A lot of the cleaning chemicals that are offered in the stores, like I won't name names, but they are the things that you want to look for usually are like when they say fragrance, or they say anything that's like sulfate, and look it up. Like, I always encourage everyone to really look up the ingredients. There's a website called EWG, and that's where they rate every single ingredient, and you can find out, whether it's an A, B, C, or D, and why they actually rate it that way. Sometimes when something is rated a C, I mean, it's rated because of, maybe a skin irritation or something like that. And so it's really up to the purchaser, consumer, to really figure out whether that's something that's going to, work for them or not. So
yeah, and I know like natural does not mean anything. Organic necessarily in products like that don't mean anything. So yeah, like empower yourself. Even stores that are more, natural, whole, approach to things, it's still very important to like look at those products. Because when you're doing things like wiping your kitchen table, your counters, or even the toilet where your bottom sits on and your pores absorb stuff, it's and it works on so many levels, because when you're using chemicals in your home, right, and then we know spending up to 80% of our time inside, and we're constantly breathing these chemicals, and then like we're eating off them, or even on the floor, like our bare feet, we're porous. So, and like we don't have necessary control of, we're working on it, right? People using sprays and Roundup and different things like that, but we do have control of what's used inside our home. So I love that the first step is to be aware, even if it says natural, like look up the ingredients, and even if it's got a ton of lavender essential oil in it, or tea tree, and it smells natural, but again, the ingredients on the back of the bottle are not going to lie. So,
right. And, it's even taking this like even deeper. And this is, I think, where my passion, like I get really fired up about this element of it is, yes, we're in our homes, like our actual homes, but we've got to look at our actual home, which is the earth. Right. And the earth is what encompasses like whether we will be, here as a species or not. And it's all safe to say we all can agree that we've done a lot of damage to the earth. And so, I like to believe that there's like these sacred earth warriors who are really listening to the earth and asking her for what she needs. And, I've spent a lot of time on the ocean. I love to sail, and I just got my diver certificate. So I've been like underwater, with the animals out there. And it just really, I realized that, when we're on the boat and let's say I'm taking a shower, I'm watching that soap go directly into the ocean. Yeah. So is it biodegradable? And that's where the deeper, the foundation of this business of the product line that we're building is really created on, is reminding us all like, yes, okay, the surfaces, yes, our homes need to be, feel good, and we spend time there. But also, if we don't have our OG home like Mama Gaia, then we aren't going to have homes at all. So I think it's just bringing us back to that awareness.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like the microcosm in our home, but the macrocosm is our sacred space, as in, I 100% agree. And, for us, we have let's just talk personal in our own spaces. We have our well, our water comes directly out of the well in our garden. And, it's like if stuff is going down the drain, then you're just drinking it. So not only is it going in as a pour, but then, and so, I wholeheartedly agree. We all need to wake up and be mindful of like everything that we use and ingest, and as we drive, and, every little thing that we do collectively, makes such a huge difference. So share a little bit more about if people want to make their own products, like what are some of the main things? So vinegar gets a little bit smelly. I know baking soda and essential oils and...
Yeah, I mean, I always like going back to Dr. Bronner's. I think it's probably the easiest thing, or any Castile soaps that you can mix with essential oils, or but just like super basic stuff. I mean, I'm actually playing with new stuff with vinegar where you can actually create these solutions with letting them sit in, let's say, rosemary or sage, or like actually harvesting the actual herbs and letting that sit for, I think it's about 6 weeks, and just then it shifts the actual harshness of vinegar. So I'm really playing with that now, but that's been something that I've been following a lot of sustainable brands, and they've been really advocating, using that as a simple solution. But at the end of the day, like, lemons are really great. They have antibacterial properties. They can get rid of hard water stains if you chop a lemon in half and you squeeze all the citrus on the hard water stains, like in your shower, and let that sit for a minute. That'll actually remove the hard water stains, which everybody always seems to have a hard time figuring that one out, and that one took us a while too. And then also just using anything that has, like, you always want to look for antibacterial and also antifungal, and also recognizing, like, the pH of cleaning. Like, a lot of the products out there that have harsh chemicals, they're cleaning too much because they're removing the things that we actually do need. Like, when kids, they need to get sick, they need to pick up those germs so that their bodies can then learn to actually heal. And so when you want to just create something basic in your home, I would say just using like a Castile soap. Borax is one of my favorite things as well. It's an interesting, it's an interesting, like, it's a natural mineral, and they harvest it, I believe, up in these mountains, and it's really great. You can use that instead of bleach in your laundry. You can use it in your bathtub. But baking soda, yes, baking soda is great for just about the same thing. Baking soda kind of gives that grain, like if you were to use like a Bon Ami or a Barkeeper's Friend, which I don't use that, but just to replace things. And one of the things that I always say to first do is look what's underneath your sink, because that right there is your opportunity to see, okay, actually underneath there is the most toxic place in our homes. Mm-hmm. So if you take a look at that, see what you can swap out with. Start with one product. If you really have been on the bleach, you trust bleach, you love bleach, you love the smell. Some people really like the smell of it, right? But it's actually, you can look and research, and it's causing like infertility rates, and mostly for women, it's very harsh on our reproductive system. So I would start there, start with one thing and see what you can replace it with. Like I said, borax, baking soda. And then for your surfaces, if you do want to try using vinegar, and like anything with like citrus, like orange, lemon.
And that just smells so amazing too, and then you can compost it,
Right. But you want to be careful with like citrus on certain surfaces that like wood, or like raw wood, if it's not finished, just be mindful. There's so much available now for, online when you Google how to create DIY things, and it's just amazing what's available to us now. And I think, for those who aren't so into doing the DIY and they want to kind of have somebody else do it for them, I think that's where the product line that we're going to be launching it kind of comes in, because it's like a mix between handmade and also the ability to have like a little bit more science backed into it. So it's got a little bit more of elbow grease.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you do hear people say, "Well, I try natural stuff and it doesn't work,"
Right.
And so it has to work. It has to feel in complete alignment with the earth and your lives and your home, but you also want something that will work. And I completely agree. There's certain things around the home, like when the kids drop food in a bit of dirt, it's like, oh, cool, it was Mother Earth is blessing it for you, I agree, a bit of all of that is good for us, and having everything too spotless isn't great, so it's like always finding that balance. Okay, so you look under your sink and you see what's in there, and you slowly start replacing things out. What are some other areas of the home that you should look to kind of create it to be more kind of green as far as cleaning?
Yeah, so I'm really actually currently working with new ways to use less waste. And so this doesn't really go into like actual like chemicals, but it kind of brings back this feeling, because I'm using glass, using jars, like kind of shopping more bulk. and it just has this feeling of bringing more earth into the home. So it feels like it's less plastic, and that's something that has taken me a while to actually finally get into the habit of doing. So, I always say, like, start small. This is not an overnight journey for any of us. We've been consumers of plastic. We've been consumers of chemicals and cleaning and also shampoo and makeup and everything that we had no idea. We weren't aware of what we were putting on our faces, on our bodies, on our homes. But that's another great place to start, is just reducing plastic little by little. What can you do? Can you get rid of paper towels? Can you get rid of plastic Ziploc bags? And what can you replace it with? And it takes time to find actually something that will work. Honestly, I've tried a lot of different things, like beeswax, the like covers you can put over, tomatoes or something like that, or just using glass jars to store things in the fridge. And, it looks really good. It allows it, when you open up the fridge, you feel, that's your healthy space where you get to cook and bring nourishment into your body. And when you open your fridge and it looks beautiful, filled with glass jars and maybe rainbow colored, chopped up veggies, then it just feels like you are stepping into a place of much more nourishment and self-care. So, it's all like full circle. It really comes down to just everywhere, but I like to say, start under the sink, and then you want to maybe move into the other areas where you see there's a lot of plastic, so you can bring in glass. And also in your shower, shower is another place where there's a lot of stuff that you might be using that you don't know what's inside of it. So just check out the ingredients. It's like you could do like a full scan of the house, but
yeah, exactly. Because whether it's cosmetics or,
Yeah.
I do the shower and even just like what you put in the car, what you wash the car, you go through everything in the home. And actually, when it comes to washing the car, do you have suggestions of what people might use?
That's a great question. I actually don't hand wash my own car. We don't have like a hose set up where I'd be able to. So I would suggest to just use Castile soap and water. That stuff can go so far, and all you really need is something to break down the dirt. And just put water. And for windows, vinegar and water is the best thing for windows. That's one of the things I know I keep saying, like, not vinegar, but vinegar is really the best thing for windows. And you can, again, put essential oils in it to make it smell less stinky. But it is the best. Like, I definitely say the next thing too, if you're going to be cleaning your windows in your car and your homes, get rid of Windex. It's got to go.
I know. And, I think the really important thing is, to know that, like, I think for me, even personally, I feel like I sleep more peacefully at night knowing I'm doing my part. And, sometimes, you go into the grocery store, and, for people that don't have time to make their own products, and I hear that you're creating something really beautiful, which I'm so grateful for. And, you go into the store and there will be natural products, and sometimes versus the not so natural products, you're talking they could be up to 10 times the price. Like, I remember I was in there the other day, and there's a brand over here. It's just, it's as natural as you can get if you're purchasing it, not making your own. And it was like 69 cents for this not natural one, and it was like $6.90, and it's like, I am choosing this because I know that this is for the highest good of all, and I choose to, spend my money in this way because it makes me know that I'm doing my bit, and for the earth, for humanity, and for in our own sacred space. And, I love it because a lot of these health food stores or places that you can get natural clean products, you can actually come and they've got like big pumps, and you can actually just come back and refill up the container that you originally purchased in, like the spray bottle or whatever it is. You don't actually even have to keep consuming a new plastic container every time.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I'm very big about that as well. Just reusing, and, get inspired. Like it's fun to also reuse and create. Like I've been taking some of my cans, like cans of beans or cans of whatever soups, and peeling off the label, and I'm saving those. And I also really like the way the aluminum looks, but you can also paint it, you know? So if you wanted to recreate, like you want to pot some plants or put something inside of it, you know, it just feels really good to realize, okay, I'm not actually partaking in more waste. I'm taking responsibility for my own waste. And, you know, that's a principle that I learned through going to, I'm very involved in the Burning Man community, and just going to festivals and really doing the whole, you know, like you pack out, what you take, you pack in. So leave no trace. And, you know, that principle has really been something that's really important to me, because when you realize that, you know, we're kind of lazy as a society, especially as Americans. We're lazy to the point where now we actually don't have any true recycling happening here in the States. China stopped taking our recycling because we're lazy and we don't even know how to recycle. And so basically, you know, they're sitting there sifting through all the crap that we put, like food and plastics and things that aren't, like, don't belong there. And, you know, they've got, the system isn't designed for taking care of everybody's things. It's designed for, you know, us taking responsibility and working together. So when China stopped, you know, accepting our recycling, it's just going to landfill right now. So, I mean, people are working on solutions, those who are in that field and have that calling, but it is a very real thing that, you know, we've really got to pay attention to. Is we have, like, it may not feel like it's important. A lot of people say, well, I'm just one person, right? I'm just one person. How can I really make a difference? Well, you actually making that choice, that conscious choice to take ownership and responsibility of the products you buy, of the businesses that you support, of voting with your dollar, of, you know, how much waste you're consuming, what type of, you know, what you're eating, then you actually are creating a new vibration. And that vibration is then going to either inspire or uplift someone else. So let's say you have a partner and you start living with roommates. You just embody that and you do you. And then they start to be inspired by that. And they go, you know, maybe I'm going to start doing that too. So it ripples out, and that becomes this magical, you know, effect of inspiring those around us. So you do play a really important role in the choices that you make and the things that you buy. You know, making that choice of the 69 cents versus the $6.99 cleaning. Yes, it's more expensive. And, you know, you can also look up DIY things that will be cheaper. Vinegar is really cheap. Borax is really cheap. But at the same time, you're telling the universe, you know, I'm abundant also. You're saying, I'm not going to go into that scarcity fear conversation of, okay, 69 cents is cheaper. Maybe you are in a space of needing to, like, save that money. And I'm all about that, you know, but at the end of the day, we have to look at the bigger picture.
And I love that. And you're like, okay, so yeah, probably for 69 cents, you could get a bottle of vinegar. Cool. You can go wash your windows, you know, it's like, and maybe you decide, I'm going to spend a bit of time and create these products. And so I have them readily available, you know, so I love that. And, you know, yeah, it has to start with us, because if we're like, oh, I'm just one person, or I'm not going to make a difference. If everybody's saying that, then that is not going to be good, because we need to change how we're living, you know, even when it comes to, like, having, you know, my children, it was like, okay, how can I do this environmentally friendly as possible? And, you know, nappies, diapers, you know, we call them nappies here in Ireland, diapers. I mean, oh my God, these things don't decompose unless you're going to buy the really, really natural ones. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do cloth. And it was a whole lot more work washing the cloth and doing all you got to do to make the poopy, you know, once it work. It's like, okay, I'm scraping this on the toilet. But it's like, I know that I'm really making a difference doing this, you know. And then even just like hand-me-down clothes, like when it comes to babies, like, for the first year, it's not like there's wear and tear, and, you know, it's like for the first 6 months they're, you know, just laying there. So it's like, pass the clothes on, and then pass the clothes on, and then pass the clothes on. So the more that we can, you know, frequent even the secondhand stores and reuse things, and because, you know, it's way beyond like needing to recycle. It's like, it's like, how can I reuse? How can I repurpose these items? And I totally agree with you. Like the cans, or we don't actually have glasses in our house. We have jars, and I love jars because I'm looking at mine right now, and it's like almost 2 pint size, and I love to drink a lot of water and a lot of like metal tea and everything, so a little glass isn't going to do for me. So I love these big jars, and it's like, how can we repurpose, reuse things, or just like not like buy, like we go to the stores and we want to get fruit and vegetables, but they're wrapped in plastic. So, if we can just go to the farmers markets, and then, we're shopping local, we're supporting the local farmers. It's better for our bodies. We're going to buy more in season versus stuff that's been imported from all over the world. So there's so many things that we can do to make a difference.
Yeah, I love how farmers markets are making a comeback. At least they are here in the States. And I don't know about where everyone's tuning in, but again, like going back to just realizing that our actions make that ripple effect, feel like, what does it feel like to go to the farmer's market? For me, it's like this ritual that I almost have as a non-negotiable now. And it allows for me to feel like I'm supporting the small businesses. I get to look the person in the eye that like grew my vegetables, and that to me feels really sacred, and that feels very primal. And I think we've come very far, we've created everywhere we are now. We've created, the destruction, we've created war, we've created all these, more shadowy sides of humanity. But we've also got this bliss, this love, this gratitude, compassion, Kuan Yin. We've got all that energy that we are really wanting to kind of go back to, and I always say going back to like the tribal cultures and really learning from them is important on how to like modernize that now today. And I really think that farmers markets are sort of the answer to that, because you get to connect with people, and, I know, I get it. It's not that easy. Like my boyfriend definitely is more, he's busy, he's got a 9 to 5, he's got a lot. And so do I. And also when you make things a non-negotiable because you're choosing to better yourself and the planet, you start to feel better. You really do, and it becomes like, I'm putting myself first. I'm putting the planet first. I'm putting my priorities in alignment so that I'm living a life that's, that feels good, that feels like I'm contributing to the bigger purpose.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that. I love that, looking the farmers in the eyes. And it's like, thank you for growing this bounty. And there's something about like smelling freshly, like it's like, at the most richest in all its nutrients, it's just come out of the earth, like maybe that morning, and the smell and being able to touch it, there's something about being able to, like, that's just bliss right there. The colors and the beauty. So yeah, I agree. And it is a commitment. It's like, okay, Saturday morning, we're going to get up and, we're going to make our little list. What are we going to make for the week? And, because then you're going to drive once, because if we're really talking about how we can live environmentally, like, the carpooling and not just making daily trips to, it's like, this is my list that I need for the week, and I'm going to drive this once, or walk. If you can walk to the farmer's market, even better,
Oh, yeah, that'd be amazing. We can't walk here, but...
No, we can't walk here either. Actually, if we're going to take one step even further, and of course, depends where you are, but we grow our own veggies, so, I mean, there's still bits that we need to get, but, and...
Oh, amazing. That's my next thing.
Yeah. And, you're getting what's in season, absolutely local. So it's just on every level better. And that's why we got ourselves into this trouble, because we got lazy. We didn't bother growing stuff anymore, and we wanted stuff mass produced, and then we're all buying stuff from imported, and, so back to basics. And, the thing is even if you're living in an apartment and you've got a balcony, you can still grow herbs, rosemary, mint. Oh gosh, mint just grows so happily, thyme, all your herbs. But you can also have a tomato vine, or, and things can grow up vertically. It doesn't have to be just horizontally, so there is always ways, and that is just so gratifying, the smell and growing your own and nourishing something and watching it grow. So, that's a step even further. And I love that we're just talking about all these simple things. And we're not saying you have to do it all today, but just if things are resonating with you from this conversation, like do your bit, see what feels good. And it's like our conscience. We have consciousness and we have conscience. And I love that you say, sometimes we've gotten lazy because it's like, we compost as well. And we've got more land here. So it depends, but there's community gardens. You can still compost, and I think certain places they will pick up composting as well as recycling and stuff. Or I know a family where they compost and they tell all their neighbors, just bring us by all your, fruit and veggie bits, and if you juice or any of that, so it's like the power of our community as well. So find out what bits you're willing to do. But so speaking of conscience, when we're tired, right? It's like, oh, I've got to go all the way to the compost. I've got to unload the composter. I'm just going to throw this in the trash, right? It's like, this is easier. I'm going to chuck it in here right now. And for me, I feel it in my stomach. It's like, oh, it's like our mother. I mean, why are we doing that to our own mother? So it's like and I have done it a couple of times. I'm like, oh, can we bother? I'm just going to put this in here. And then afterwards, oh no, I've got to scoop that back out. I can't do that. So it's like, how can we just,
Yeah, it's like when we're going to recycle, I do the same thing. I never used to know to remove all my food from, the jar or whatnot. I used to just throw it in there. And then now it's like, I don't know what I don't know what, clicked. At some point it just clicked. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to pay more attention to removing all the food outside of this jar, so that then when I recycle it, it's not more work for somebody else. And I think that's where just taking responsibility for our own actions is like, it's the way, we've got to definitely start to realize that ultimately we have this, we play a role in everything. So when we have that level of awareness and just make that choice, it's just going to be better for all. And, I definitely I love that you said it's definitely not overnight. We can't do all this tomorrow. And, especially learning from you with the feng shui, it's not all going to happen overnight. There's all these remedies and these things that we get to do and shift. And ultimately, you got to start somewhere. And when you do start, you start to see the shifts. And when you see the shifts and you feel the shifts, that's when it's almost like, oh, well, what else can I do? And so yeah, start small and don't beat yourself up. I'm definitely somewhat of that activist, but I don't ever want to pressure anyone to, feel like they're wrong or they should feel shameful or guilty for contributing to some of the things that aren't, so woke, I guess you would say.
and I think but it also becomes not addictive. I don't think that's the right word, but it's like you start to become aware of, wow, this is the smell of a chemical. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is how I start to feel like I get a headache, or even, you walk into certain places and clearly they just use bleach or something, and it's just or somebody's actually spraying next to you. You're sitting in a hotel or in a restaurant, right, spraying the table. You're like, and what happens is you start to become more aware and also more sensitive, because if you don't use that stuff and you get used to feeling a certain way and then you go somewhere and it does, so you become, I suppose, more aware and more conscious of it, and in some ways you end up becoming more sensitive to when you are around chemicals. Your nose just is I smell it, I can feel it, and I also love the likes of, wherever in the world you are listening to this podcast, but the likes of Craigslist, or over here it's called Done Deal, or even people are selling things on Facebook now. But I love that because they are, rather than somebody just throwing something in the trash, it's oh, well, I could either give this away free on one of these platforms or sell it for $5 whatever, but that's such another way to be living environmentally friendly. And when things go on with the economy, when these cycles happen with the economy, and people aren't feeling as abundant, it's really interesting, because if their shoes, they get a hole in their shoes, right? Usually it's just I'm just going to go buy a new pair of shoes. But actually, when people are kind of more not feeling the abundant. They're like, I'm going to go and get these resold, or, this leather repaired, or, oh, my TV just broke, I'm going to buy a new one. Or, no, how about I try just get this fixed, So there's something about when things break, do they have another life within them, of something that you already have?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's like going back to the fashion industry and why it's one of the world's leading most destructive industries, because of just how it's, we wear things, we throw away, it was all for fashion and all for looks and all for image at one point. And now it's, I really am inspired by some of the movements that are surfacing to talk about slow fashion, talk about repurposing, reusing. And so I think we have a long way to go, but that's okay, because, we're starting somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, what are the 3 top things that you might suggest to everybody listening, where they could just start if somebody just feels really inspired listening to this conversation? What are the top 3 things that you would give as some tips to create a more environmentally conscious home?
Well, I think some of them I mentioned already, but one is definitely to eliminate the toxic chemicals in your home. So looking underneath your sinks, seeing where you might be spraying things that are causing health issues. Maybe you've got headaches and you don't know why. Maybe you've got skin irritations. Just start there. Start definitely number 1. I think that's something that's way overlooked. And so start under your sink, start in the places that you don't look, under the drawers, getting rid of all that stuff that is toxic. And, at the end of the day, everything is a chemical, but I'm talking about more of the toxic chemicals that aren't. And I guess the biggest thing is like, what is natural? And we all really don't know. I think we're all trying to figure that out. But
good point.
But definitely just what feels good to you. If those ingredients, you feel like, what, this feels as close as natural is going to get, then, or if you want to be in full control and make your own products, that's the other option too. The second thing I would say is starting to reduce the plastics in your home. Definitely using, like you were saying, the glass jars, shopping bulk, going to places that, when you realize your veggies are wrapped in plastic, ask yourself why and choose something different. It's not necessary. It doesn't make any sense. And the more that we say no to those things, the more those companies will pay attention. Some people I know are such activists that they will literally go to Trader Joe's and they'll unwrap the plastic and leave it there for them to handle.
Yeah.
So I'm not that much of I just would rather not go. But it does make a statement. So that's really a big one. And then the third thing I would say, it really starts on the inside, right? So if you're going to start anywhere, I would say to just write down a few things as to why creating a green home is important to you. Because just listening to this podcast, it might resonate with you. You might feel inspired, but if you don't have an intention as to why you're doing it, then it won't stick and it won't land and it won't stay there. So I think that's really important to bring it back to your own inner work and your own inner journey, is like why it's important to you. Why does it matter? And just doing some inner work around that and seeing, if there's a deeper meaning there. There might be something that you write that feels really, you never thought you would even think about, like, oh, I want to be a mom and, I want to set a future up for my daughter. I really believe in the 7th generation principle, which is what the natives would implement into their culture, where they pay attention to the 7 generations that are before them and after them. So just think about that, like what is your children's world going to look like? And maybe that's the bigger picture for you. But I really think that coming back to a why and having an intention is also very important.
I love that you say this. Like, that is so beautiful. Oh, that was just divine. Thank you. That's gorgeous. And thank you for all that you do and creating this consciousness around Mother Earth and inside and outside of people's homes and in their lives. Thank you for this. And one last question. for all that you do. How, in this way, may I and all of our listeners be of service to you?
So I've always got a lot of projects going on, but I right now would say the best place to find me is on Instagram. You can go to I Am Goddess Collective podcast, and that is where I love to post about the podcast, inspiring, motivational women empowerment quotes. But we are going in more of a sustainable direction, so that will encompass a lot of what we talked about here, as well as you can find me on my personal Instagram if you feel called to follow me there, Feng Shui Mystic. And also, if you go to nixiedustcleaning.com, you can find out a little bit more about the company and what we've built there. But I'm going through a big rebrand right now, so I'm really looking to how to create everything under one umbrella, which is really challenging sometimes. So, and then if you want to follow the journey of the product line, which will be out in the next couple months, it's called Clarity Clean. So CLARYTE Clean, and you can find that on Instagram and join our mailing list to hear about when it's launched.
Ooh, that's amazing. I love that name. Already clean.
Thank you.
Cool. And I hear you, sister, on like consolidating, and it's like you're so you're like creating, but it's all so interconnected. So thank you for sharing your beautiful wisdom and being here. I just loved every moment with you.
Yeah, it was super awesome to drop in with you, and thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you, love. Want to learn about the ancient art of Feng Shui, or deepen your knowledge and continue your education? Join us at the Inner Circle of Feng Shui community. By becoming a member, you'll access my extensive library of webinars, videos, and tutorials on classical Feng Shui, space clearing, dowsing, and so much more. There are 2 live webinars per month, as well as meditations and rituals for the seasons. For more information, please go to www.innercircleoffengshui.com. And another thing, please feel free to reach out to me and tell me who else you'd like me to interview on this show. Thanks, beloveds, for joining us today. Please come over to themandacons.com to continue the conversation and get access to all my podcasts, blogs, and videos. Did you enjoy this podcast? If so, please subscribe to the Amanda Cons podcast on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Feel free to pass this podcast on to your friends. That helps us get incredible guests to share their secrets for an inspired and joyful life. If you want more great resources, come over to amandacons.com and join my mailing list for all my latest content. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, I'm sending